No, we'll hopefully have a quicker turnaround this time. This is,
Yes. But yeah, in the meantime, I think we have a movie to talk about. I don't think I'll have a whole lot to say.
Same.
But
same.
Yes. So for this week, we watched Dario Argento's Inferno, which I hadn't seen before, and then you didn't remember if you'd seen.
Yeah.
But then turns out you had seen it before.
With Argento, I get scenes from his movies mixed together because they're all so similar.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, so this is the follow-up to Suspiria, and part of a loose trilogy of the Three Mothers, because you can't forget the Three Mothers.
No, you have to know about the Three Mothers.
You really need to know. Because I was looking it up a little bit afterwards.
There's a whole book, you see.
There's a whole book called The Three Mothers. So when he made Suspiria, there was not a planned trilogy. And so afterwards, it kind of needed to be, because they don't mention the Three Mothers in Suspiria. So this is the one where that gets introduced, and boy, do they introduce it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the third movie, which I forget the name of.
Tenebrae?
I think that's the name of the mother, right? But it's not the name of the movie.
I'll look it up.
Mother of Tears. That didn't come out until 2007, actually. So quite a big gap. In Italian, it was actually called The Third Mother, which I don't know if that's better or worse. But yes, Inferno. It's a bit of an odd one. I have a question. What language did you watch it in?
English.
Okay.
It was whatever the default was on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And I know that Argento has done this thing before where he will cast actors who speak different languages and then he will dub the entire movie, which I think is just absolutely insane. I don't know if that's what happened here.
So I might be misremembering, but I think for Suspiria, he had all of the he had actors from that spoke English, that spoke Italian, that spoke German, and he had all of them speak to each other in the scenes in their native language.
Yes, incredible.
And then dubbed it wherever it needed to be shown. So it had it dubbed in Italian and had it dubbed in English and presumably also in German. Yeah. So for this one, I was like, okay, is he going to keep doing that or what's the deal? So for my copy, I had English, which was in 5.1 surround. And then I had Italian that was just in stereo.
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, wait. So those are two different audio copies. It's not that the English dialogue was in... Well, there is no Italian dialogue unless you're watching. I'm sorry. Continue.
So
it's a mess.
So I was curious. I was like, well, because the opening credits, there's a lot of Italian names like that are in it. And I'm like, okay, what language? What language are their lips moving in? Was what I wanted to know. Like, is this audio track dubbed or not? And for a good bit, I couldn't tell because the brother, like the main guy he becomes the main guy, is a terrible actor.
Oh yeah, full stop.
And so I thought he was being dubbed.
No,
in English because he was so bad. So I tried switching back and forth, but just the audio quality of the stereo Italian was so much worse than the 5.1 English that I went back. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is actually syncing to some of the actors' lip movements. And then also I discovered that the sister, or no, not the sister and the...
You're confusing me because aren't the Three Mothers also the Three Sisters?
Well, I guess they're sisters with each other.
Yeah, so I don't know who's...
No, but the main guy, his sister, and then his friend from school were both... They're Italian, but they were speaking English. Mm-hmm. So I just left it on English after that. I was like, okay, fine.
When you mention that he's a bad actor, the one scene that pops out to me is that when he passes out by the in like the hotel, and they're like, we're gonna give him heart medicine for his heart. And then the very next scene is he wakes up, doesn't know what happened. He asks the woman. He's It's like, I don't know what happened last night. Oh, it was your heart. We gave you heart medicine. And he's like, I don't have heart problems, but thank you. It's just very, very, it felt like a, what was it? The Room. It felt like that level of like dialogue and execution. Like it was like a, what's that guy's name? I forget his name, but the guy who did The Room. It was like on that level. Yeah. And like, you know, when you watch Dario Argento, you know what you're getting. You know what his strengths are, you know what he does well. And he does those things well in this film when they happen. But there's a whole lot of time where he isn't doing those things and then everything falls apart.
I think it, like, I get that was the whole gimmick of like, there's like 2 locations or whatever. Yeah. But there was really no point for there to be 2 locations.
Oh, not at all.
In this movie.
Because they're really like just the same. Part,
right. Which was confusing on its own. Yeah. Because they look the same, where you're going back and forth between Rome and New York because they both just look like a stage. Like there was not much point to that. It was just to get the brother to New York, which doesn't look like New York because it's taking place at this castle of an apartment complex.
And but more than that, the entire purpose of this movie is to just set things up to get the cool giallo, you know, over the top, bloody horror kills. And they just spend way too much time setting those up in the most like boring ways possible. And when you do get to those moments, they're terrific. They're like unmatched, at least for like the era and the style of movie. I just think they're so good. But man, is it a slog getting to them. Yeah.
It's like if Jigsaw from Saw like really walked you through each one of his traps, but like as he was building it.
Sure. Yeah. You know? That makes sense. And then also, if your characters for some reason also had to walk, physically spend time walking to the trap as well, like you had to get to the destination.
Like the one that sticks out to me was the one, I guess it was the sister that gets killed. Spoilers: the sister gets killed. It doesn't matter.
Well, like, that's the other one. It's Dario Argento, so all the women are either getting objectified or killed in some horrendous way.
Yes. And she is getting chased by somebody. It doesn't matter. I don't think it was ever explained who was chasing her. And she's in some basement or something. And then she gets caught by the nail. Yeah. And all of a sudden there's like a guillotine above her. And it is falling down so fucking slowly. And then it stops above her neck. And then the guy that's chasing her has to set it up again and then just bring it down manually. Yeah. Over and over again. It's like, why did it need to come down so slow?
I know.
Like, wouldn't it be much more suspenseful? And I don't know, maybe I've just been ruined by modern horror or something. If it, you know, slammed all the way down, but it, you know, stopped just short of her neck. And so then he had to do it manually and had to keep chopping the neck. You know? Sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Still a cool scene though, once you actually get into it. Yeah. I think that there's like, okay, I don't dislike this. I can't say I dislike this movie because I'm about to like rattle off 4 different scenes that I think are tremendous. So at that point, I'm like, no, I can't say this is a bad movie. There's just like a lot of unnecessary, I guess, attempts at suspense that really don't feel like anything other than getting from point A to point B. Yeah. But you have the underwater scene, which is my favorite in the movie in the beginning when she's retrieving her keys and the dead bodies surface.
That was so good.
Incredible. That was so fucking cool. You have the cat in the lecture hall. I was like, yeah, no, go ahead. Okay,
but can I talk about the underwater thing for a second?
Yes, of course.
So whenever she finally like gets under the water, I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to be really extended. And I'm like, wow, she could really hold her fucking breath, huh? Yeah. Because it was like 5 minutes at least.
Yeah, well, she came up for air once. And also it did feel like the entire scene was happening in slow motion. So I think there's that to account for as well. Although at times it feels like the movie is happening in slow motion. So
yes, but like also it's like it's like it's not quite surreal, but like it's almost like dreamy, like everything that happens. Yes. So it's like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, you know?
And then anyway, go ahead. My next favorite scene is in the lecture hall with the cat. Yeah. Just a bit of a trip there.
Holy hell. That chick, oh my God. I know she's like as old as our moms, but at this point, but like the chick with the cat.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, she's stunning.
Yeah, like just unreal.
She's stunning. Absolutely.
Just the way she's staring like that. Oh my God.
I think she's been in multiple Argento movies. This she has a peripheral role.
Oh yeah, she's just there to stare at the camera.
Yeah, she's just there to be unsettling.
I was not unsettled. I was fucking transfixed.
That's a good word, sure. So that's like, I think, the scene I associate with this movie the most.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the guy who tries to, or I guess he kind of does, dispose of the litter of kittens in the river and gets eaten alive by rats, and then finally killed off by the hot dog vendor. I don't know what's going on or why.
Like, so that was so fucking funny, because as soon as I see the guy running with the knife, I'm like, well, he's gonna kill him, but I just don't know why.
I don't know why. I think it had to do with the eclipse, and I think the general like curse of the mothers in the general vicinity. Like, you have the smell, right? The smell, the sweet. Oh, and I love how unsubtle everything is, because they explain the sickly sweet smell, right? And she uses that.
It's the cakes.
It's the cakes. She uses that exact word. And then you have the other character in, I guess they were in Rome? Yeah. The other character in Rome is taking a taxi to the hotel, and she's like, rolls down the window. She's like, oh, it's a sickly sweet smell. Just in case we didn't know what she was referring to. Yeah, dialogue has never been the strength for Mr. Argento. So that was just wild and very good, the rat scene. And then, of course, you have the ending with the whole place on fire and navigating with death. The actual manifestation of death was very cool.
Yeah.
So, the movie ends on a very, very high note too. It's just what I described took up maybe 15 minutes of screen time.
Right. Yeah.
And the rest of it kind of just feels like a slog. So there's that.
Yeah. Do you want to know what my favorite line in the movie is?
Of course.
Whenever he gets to like the secret lair in the basement or whatever, after he has to go through like the Alice in Wonderland crawl space with the cats eating the mice that don't pay attention to him for some reason. And he meets the dude in the wheelchair, and the dude in the wheelchair says, well, I'm sure you know who I am at this point. And then the stupid, terrible actor guy says, no, I don't. It's like, yeah, none of this shit matters.
It's funny because, like,
none of this matters at all.
Maybe that was meant for the viewer, but then I would argue that the viewer also does not know who that guy is.
Right. No, I don't know who you are.
It's very good.
We saw you once before.
Yeah. So I've never seen the 2007 movie. I've actually that one I've not rounded out the trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to suggest that we do either.
I heard his movies get terrible, like at the turn of the century there.
Sure, I could see that.
Yeah.
I would argue they were getting terrible at the turn of like the midway point of this movie. So
yeah. Yeah, I do have to say that guy just like struggling to drown those cats was pretty effective for somebody that likes cats. Oh, super effective. There are people, there's someone I know who this immediately would disqualify me suggesting this movie to them. So that's one of those things where it's like, that can fuck you up. Yeah. So that's the other thing I want to mention. The sound of the kittens in the bag. Yes. Very, very effective. Yes. The audio in general, apart from the dialogue, was very good. Like, it's a great score. I mean, when that song kicks in as the place is burning down at the end, fantastic. I was falling asleep. That woke me up. Just same. Very, very good. Very good. So, I'm conflicted with this. I'm conflicted with Argento in general. Sure. If you can find a compilation of the scenes I mentioned, maybe watch that instead of the actual whole movie. But another good one is whenever the guy in the crutches is getting attacked. This is before he tries to drown them, but he's getting attacked by the cats. Oh yeah. The cats. And it literally just looks like it literally looks like a couple people off screen are throwing real cats at him. They're obviously puppets or, stuffed or whatever, but they look convincing. And Well, maybe they're real cats, but yeah, they just look like they're just real cats getting hucked at this guy on crutches, which was fun. The drowning was not as fun, but then he gets eaten and he just keeps screaming, "They're eating me alive. They're eating me alive."
Yes. Very self-aware, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I just love how stupid the brother was.
Mm-hmm.
Where he just like thinks that his sister is just like out, you know, and wasn't like killed.
It's so funny because, like, you know, there's 5 minutes left in this movie. He's faced with death itself, meaning like one of the mothers or whatever, however you want to explain it. And he's still like, hey, where's my sister at?
Yeah. Which is funny because wasn't she like embodying his sister or whatever? All those brunettes look the same.
That's another. I remember the first time I watched this, the 2 location thing was the first thing that threw me off. And then some of the actors look very similar.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, what is, I can't, and I don't want to keep track of what's happening here.
Yeah. Oh, I love that guy that was just hanging out reading the magazine back in Rome when the other girl's like, oh, I don't want to be alone.
Oh yeah.
He's like, sure, I got a couple hours to kill.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he says. And so he just hangs out and reads a magazine and he's like, I'm a sports writer. It's like in Rome. Like, okay.
It's a big soccer town. Big soccer.
I know, but like, I think you'd say you're a soccer writer, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's implied.
I guess so. He's like, yeah, I'm a sports writer.
Also, everyone's speaking English, so.
Yeah.
And that could have been New York. I don't even know.
No, I know that was the Rome,
but it might as well have been New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geez.
And what was with the dude making all that like goop at the bottom of the library?
Was he different from the one who was wearing the black gloves that was snatching up all the books?
I don't think so. But then how do you get to New York?
Yeah, that's right. He was in 2 places at once.
Yeah. Which
made the 2 places feel the same even more.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not really going to get bogged down by Argento's logistics of everything here.
Yeah.
Because you really could tear into it. But
it's just so funny because like some of the sets were very, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's like, well, why did you need to separate
honestly
the fictional locations?
He knows the visual aesthetic of taking a taxi at night in the pouring rain to an intimidating location because he reused it between that and Suspiria. I think he used it maybe 4 times.
Right.
But it's
the outside of this building might as well have been the Suspiria building.
Yeah, which I think is kind of the point, right? Because it's related.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
Haven't you read The Three Mothers? Don't you understand?
Yeah, I got a Lacrimosa and Suspiriorum and the other one.
That's right.
The other one. And like he's just so good at color, though.
That's what I mean. Yeah, there's like neon drenched in the rain, and
it's not even quite neon though, because like even like in that basement scene, you know, there's just like these purples and blues.
Mm-hmm. It's just
like cast.
It's the coloring and it's the lighting too.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's like the lighting is so specific, and like the way you would need to cast this light and shadows is so fucking meticulous.
Yeah,
and it's like it's evoking darkness without being like fucking dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why people still watch his movies and why he has such a reputation, you know?
And you just have this weirdo synth going on in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't quite the proggy shit from Suspiria, you know? But just like this weirdo synth. But sometimes it's like doing that classical shit because they were studying classical music.
That's right.
But then it just goes like off the fucking wall, you know? 1980 synth. Yeah. But you could easily cut like at least 40 minutes from it.
At least.
It could have been like a Twilight Zone episode.
It really could have.
Oh, man.
So next week is Thirst, right?
Yes, Thirst from Park Chan-wook. That should be pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I'd imagine.
Yeah. And I will try to get that out. I try to get out episodes on Wednesdays, if you didn't realize my schedule by now. But I will try to get that for Halloween, which is on a Tuesday this year.
Oh, excellent.
Just so we can keep some, thematic energy going. So